Hey there and welcome back to Sims Sunday. My name is Pete and as usual in this series we try to complete The Sims 3. Now in the last episode we completed 2 more lifetime wishes with Paul, who we then promptly electrocuted as a reward. Today we have our sights set on completion of the evil branch and the criminal career, but we still have a good day to go until Pauline's next work shift starts. And that is why we should now take care of Pauline. After her father's death her mood is not exactly delighted, and the fact that she's hungry also doesn't really help. So let's have her grab something to eat. Outside, her boyfriend Reid has already started to paint again. And so, with Pauline's hunger taken care of, we can now send her off to bed. At the same time, Reid improves his painting skill to level 8, but until he reaches level 10 that is barely worth mentioning. Outside, meanwhile, we can find Patrick, who just spent a few minutes talking to his money tree, and can now start his daily harvesting routine. In the kitchen, meanwhile, our children are having breakfast, and of course a good shower can't hurt either, and so Pedro will be the first to take one. Right, all of our children are clean and they have also played with the sprinkler a bit to raise their fun bars, which means we can now send them all off to another day at school. Now it's also time for Reid to grab breakfast and to immediately get back to painting afterwards. Around 11 AM, Pauline is awake again and she will quickly take a shower now and then meet up with Reid. Both of them have the wish to get married and I have decided that today is going to be the big day. Now, of course, before we can get married we first of all have to propose, and since Reid is the one with the wish, he will be the one to do so.
Sanu.
Nangdi.
Barmadi.
Sipsa?
Samadu.
Oh!
Wablu Nakatarg.
Nervy!
Kazaze.
Almustanya!
Oh.
Lovely, the two of them are now engaged and we can get them married. And we will do that once the children are back from school. I think they have a right to participate. For now, both Reid and Pauline can spend a few more hours painting, as Patrick returns from his gardening tour and gets rid of the smell with a nice shower. And now I think it's time we prepare for the wedding. And we will once again use the cherry tree for that, the tree that not only Pete and Ayesha but also Paul and Chastity were married in front of. I have also put a few chairs down so the rest of the family has a place to sit, and once the wedding is done we will have a nice family meal outside. While we're waiting for the kids to come back home, Pauline improves her painting skill to level 10, but let's actually jump over to Reid for a second, who has just surpassed 30,000 lifetime happiness points, and that means to boost the quality of all future paintings we will grab the extra creative lifetime reward for him. In the kitchen, meanwhile, Patrick is preparing the wedding meal, and a few moments later the kids are back home, everything is in place, so let's have a wedding.
Zayap. Mitap.
Mitaja. Wibatuno. Subi. Dika.
Yipsika. Hamyum Farb. Who's that?
Wonderful, Pauline and Reid are now married. The only downside to that is that Pauline now has a few days off, meaning we will very likely not complete her career this episode, but there is another thing that we could work on instead. For the moment though, let's celebrate with a perfectly cooked meal from Patrick.
Gabasu.
And I think while we're at it, let's also age up the children next. They have all made it to honor roll already, and so let's now age them up one after the other. The first one will be Pedro, and thanks to his good grades in school we can now choose a trait for him. And I think one that goes quite well with easily impressed, party animal and excitable is good sense of humor, allowing Pedro to delight those around him at will. Right then, let's buy another cake and let's have another birthday. Up next is Pablo. And just like with his brother Pedro before, we can now choose a trait for Pablo. And how about couch potato to go along with absent-minded, slob and clumsy? Pablo will now need a bit more sleep, but the fun he gets from watching TV will also increase, and he will also get additional benefits from the comfortable moodlet. Last but not least is Patricia, and once again we can choose a trait. And I have decided to go with dislikes children, which fits somewhat well into her overall quite erratic personality. And so with that, we have now aged up 3 of Pauline's children from babies to teenagers, and we will need to do the same thing with 2 more of them to finally complete the surrounded by family lifetime wish. And I would say, while Pauline has a few days off, let's get straight to work on that. Right, looks like that has worked as well, and I'm actually hoping for only twins this time. We only need 2 more children to raise up to teens, and twins would be a bit easier to manage than triplets. Now Pauline will paint for a few more hours, and if we look at her name here, there is something that has changed. Pauline now has the last name Glenn instead of Complete, and of course we cannot let that stand, and we will change that first thing in the morning. In the meantime, everyone else has made it off to bed, so let's skip ahead a few hours until things start to get busy again. Shortly after 5 AM, Reid, Pedro and Pablo are the first ones awake, and so they can now have breakfast together. Afterwards, Reid can start painting again, while the triplets prepare for school in front of the TV. Outside, Patrick has started again in the garden, while inside, Pauline finishes another brilliant painting and can now head off to bed. Pablo, Pedro and Patricia can then all teleport off to school, where we will have them work hard to once again get up to A grades as fast as possible. Pauline then shows the first signs of pregnancy, hopefully though for the last time in this playthrough. After sending Pauline back off to bed, we can quickly call the repair technician for the stereo with Reid. After all, we want that stereo to play kids' music non-stop for the next few days, but I also don't want to risk any of the household members to electrocution. Right, we once again skip ahead a few hours. The kids are back home and all busy doing their homework, while Pauline is also awake again and well rested, and will now fill her pregnant self with a good meal. Outside, Patrick has harvested everything and is now quickly paying the bills and grabbing the mail. And as usual, apart from Pauline's painting skill certificate, we can also sell again what we just received. Now Patrick can quickly take a shower before teleporting himself over to the grocery store, where he can sell all fruits and vegetables in his inventory for a nice profit of over 24,000 simoleons. We can sell the last few days' money tree harvests as well, and those bring in an additional 22,000. Pauline meanwhile has taken a seat in front of the TV watching Kids Zone. That will hopefully increase the chance for twins, but maybe also the one for triplets as well. Her children will also join her, not because they're pregnant, but because they need their fun bars increased, and the Kids Zone channel will do that just as well as any other TV channel. 2 hours later then, we can send Pauline off to take a shower now, and then I realized that I also completely forgot about the whole name changing thing. So I guess we'll have to do that tomorrow. For the rest of today, however, Pauline will continue to paint. Pedro, Pablo and Patricia meanwhile all get something to eat, as we are taken back over to Pauline, who changes into her maternity outfit. She now gets a few more days off, pushing that career completion back even further, but once the children are born, we should be able to take care of that rather quickly. The triplets are now making their way off to bed, and so is Patrick, and after a quick meal, Reid as well. And with that, we can now once again skip ahead to the next morning. And that next morning continues with Pauline. Here we can see her have breakfast, while Pedro, Pablo and Patricia are going on an adventure. Well, not really, but it's the weekend and I don't really have anything else for them to do, so today they can take a tour through the theater. Back at home, Patrick is once again busy in the garden. Reid has also begun painting again, and Pauline is also back at the easel, however only for the next 2 hours. Up next, the tour through the theater comes to an end. All of our Sims get a nice +10 impressed moodlet, but we're not done just yet. Instead, a tour through City Hall awaits. Our triplets are really going to get to know that town today. City Hall is also where at 9 PM we are going to teleport Pauline to, because today we are going to change her name back to Pauline Complete. And they actually went ahead and did that for all of her children as well, and so Pedro, Pablo and Patricia are now all back with the complete family name. Pauline will now head home to get some rest, but the triplets are far from done for today. Up next we have a visit at the local restaurant, where all 3 of them will now eat outside. For free, of course, because we own the place. Once they're done with that, we have another tour waiting, this time through the science facility. That tour also quickly comes to an end, and so for the afternoon all 3 of them will enjoy a few hours at the spa. Here, for 500 simoleons each, they will all get a nice massage. Meanwhile, back home, Reid can grab a bite to eat, and is soon after joined by his wife, Pauline. We jump over to Patrick, who has not only finished his tour through the garden, but is also wrapping up with the fish, and can now enjoy a nice warm shower. Pauline then joins her husband in front of the TV for a round of Kid Zone, and hopefully that will be enough to have at least twins. Speaking of children, our triplets are done at the spa. All 3 of them have received a nice +75 moodlet, and so they are now going to finish the day at the beach, where party animal Pedro will make drinks for all of them. After 2 hours in front of the TV, Pauline is now back to painting. I think it's pretty safe to say that we can expect at least twins at this point. Our triplets have now all come back home from the evening at the beach and can now be the first ones to go to sleep. Reid and Patrick do the same just a few minutes later, and that leaves us once again only with Pauline. And while she is hopefully painting another masterpiece, we are going to make the cut in today's episode. Next time we can hopefully welcome twins to the household, working ourselves one step closer towards completion of the Surrounded by Family lifetime wish. Now, as always, if you like this episode, leave a thumbs up, and of course, if you want to support the channel, then feel free to click on subscribe. And that's it from my part for today. I can say thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!